Hi folks, welcome to this very short tutorial on just beginning to include cascading style sheets into your web page development. So the first thing, in your test kit, there's already a page that's been made here. We'll call testpage.html. And you can change any of this that you want to. I wanted to get a page up that has a heading, a few paragraphs of information, maybe a button on there, so we can kind of see a little bit of what the effects of CSS on this are. Now, in order to include a CSS page, you go up into your heading, and you want to put in link href equals, and then the name of your CSS page. So we're going to call this testpage.css. And it needs to be .css, and then you have to tell the web browser that is a style sheet, and that the type is text CSS. Okay. Now that will try and include that. This page doesn't exist right now, so what we need to do is we need to create a new page, and we're going to save it as testpage.css. Okay, so now when you run this page, it's going to include this. So one of the first things that we might consider doing is changing the font. A lot of websites don't use these fonts with the little tails on them. They call that serifs. And so one thing that you can do in CSS that'll affect the entire page or the entire website, and in this case it's just a page, but you would put body, and that's affecting the body of the page. And you might put font family, and you can look up several of these, but in this case I'm going to put Arial sans serif. Okay, and then hit save, and you refresh your page. Now watch what happens to the text. Notice that it changed, and it was everything on the page that changed. Even the button changed the text. So, and that's the power of including a CSS page or a CSS resource in your page. So let's pick something else to change. I've encased these paragraphs inside of a div, and I gave it a class of test div. In your CSS sheet, to affect a class, you would put dot and then the class name. So test div, and then you put your brackets and then whatever you want to change. In this case, let's say over here we wanted all this text to be in, say, 3 columns. So you would put column count 3. Now watch what happens over here. Notice that the text is rearranged into columns. And there's all sorts of things. You can put lines in between. You can increase the space between the columns. But I'll leave that to you to look at. Finally, let's look at the button. Now, in this case, we just have one button here. And we haven't given it an ID or a class. So this will change all buttons on the page. If we put in button, let's say we want the button to be bigger, we can put padding in there, which gives us the space around the text. And we're just gonna, let's say it's 20 pixels. And you can do all sorts of things with this, but this is just to kind of give you a feel. Notice that now something else that you might do, I like that, but I don't like the, let me increase the font size for that. And you can do 100 and whatever, 20%, whatever you want to play around. And you'll notice that it changed the font size. And it still acts like a button. It just looks a little different. Now the challenge for you is to go ahead and find at least 3 more things to change. Notice there's only a few things in this CSS, and look how different that page is already. Okay, that's about covers everything that we wanted to cover in this very quick introduction. Just insert the link statement in the head of your document, and then you create the CSS page.